President Trump is threatening to put new tariffs on European alcohol. The president wrote in a Truth Social post Thursday, quote, "The European Union has just put a nasty 50% tariff on whiskey. If this tariff is not removed immediately, the U.S. will shortly place a 200% tariff on all wines, champagnes, and alcoholic products coming out of France and other EU-represented countries." Meanwhile, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick held talks with Canada's finance minister and Ontario's premier on the tariff back and forth between the U.S. and its northern neighbor. Stocks tumbled again Thursday. The Dow fell more than 500 points. The Nasdaq is down nearly 2%, and the S&P 500 lost almost 1.5%. CBS News MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins us now. So, Kelly, can the threat of tariffs on their own, or at least just this sort of climate of uncertainty, have an economic impact before they're even in place?
Absolutely. So you can see businesses, they have a lot of uncertainty right now. You know, do they stock up? I mean, let's take the wine importers hearing that today. Do they try and import a lot of product right now ahead of a potential tariff? And you also have this feeling of uncertainty when it comes to consumers. We're going to get another read on consumer confidence tomorrow. We've seen that dip already, but you see what's going on in the markets. You see these CEOs coming out on their earnings calls, including Dollar General today, saying the consumer is strapped. And it's almost like this vicious cycle that feeds into it all. Because if you as a consumer hear that, you see the markets are going down, you hear about these tariffs, that makes you feel more anxiety. And then the consumer sentiment comes down, which then feeds into all of that market volatility.
So the S&P 500 closed in correction territory. What does that mean and why does it matter?
Okay, so correction territory is when you finish down as an index 10% from the recent all-time high. So the S&P 500 closed down 10.1% today. The Nasdaq is down 10.1% from the recent high. The Nasdaq closed down 14.2% from the recent high. It's already in correction territory. The Dow is 300 points away from correction territory. Sounds kind of like a scary thing. In some cases, this is a natural thing. If stocks have been overvalued, if there's been what we like to call a lot of froth in the market. It matters, though, because that's halfway to a bear market. When you see those indexes go down 20%, that's when investors are not bullish, right? You know, the bulls and the bears. A bear is a more conservative type of investor, type of market. All
right, so we've been talking about some of these indexes. The producer price index, this shows wholesale prices rose at an annual rate of 3.2%, that's slightly lower than 3.7% in January. So on its face, it looks like good news on inflation. But you tell me here every night that all of this tit-for-tat tariff stuff isn't baked into any of these reports we're getting.
So the producer price index basically tracks what costs businesses have right now and how they're changing. This did include the original 10% tariff on China going back to February. We've had a lot more since then. There's a lot more coming. So, yes, there could be more inflation coming with tariffs. But I will say this was very good news after the CPI we got yesterday, because it means that inflation problem that we were already seeing was starting to go down. So, yes, tariffs, but at least it's not as entrenched right now.
Okay. Kelly O'Grady, thank you.